If there's one thing that people really love, it is a cheat sheet or a kind of handy guide to navigating and dealing with complex situations and complex circumstances. And that's something that I've at least attempted to do today for entertainment purposes only. Don't take this as financial advice, of course. But I want to put together an almost kind of, I want us to call it a foolproof guide to investing in crypto in 2019. What in my mind are some of the key numbers to kind of look at, to pay attention towards when considering investing a sum of money. Let's say that you have a whopping pot of 10 British pounds or $10 and you have, let's say you're adding to that pot or kind of dollar cost averaging an extra £5 a month. Let's just deal with very, very, very conservative figures in case we're all hopelessly wrong with our investments. Let's make that assumption and let's assume that the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies aren't all just going to zero, because if that's the case, we'll all lose our money regardless of what price point we happen to invest. So let's just deal with those two basic assumptions, okay? What would, at least my own kind of, again, for entertainment, foolproof investment guide look like? Or what would my cheat sheet look like? And I'm going to present on the screen something I'll have put together by the time I get to editing this video. And so take a look at this now, just have a quick moment before I even speak about anything at all. And for me, I think there are pretty much three key price points to pay attention towards and that I think serve as a way to dictate what your behavior should be overall. And for me, that's the 6K level, that's the $3,000 level, and the $1,000 level. And so we're going into this data with an understanding that where we are in January 2019, we're of course in the depths of a bear market. A lot of discussion is around whether or not we've already bottomed, what the bottom price point will be. And so again, that's another set of basic assumptions that we'll add into this equation. And so let's start at the very bottom of that kind of 1K level. I've almost just kind of ruled out anything below that because I've already mentioned in previous videos, I think Bitcoin would be in deep trouble if it were to go below that $1,000 levels. That could actually potentially be the greatest threat to Bitcoin survival ever, because even the most dedicated of hodlers might kind of give up and lose all hope below that $1,000 level. And so I think that would be a probability-wise far more riskier play to make, and I personally wouldn't invest in that kind of level. So I think it's important to mark that level off. But between the key price points of $1,000 to $3,000 that I've got marked here, I think that's pretty much the optimal, what you could call generally bottom buying levels. I think if you can get hold of any Bitcoin between 1 and 3K, and if Bitcoin is going to survive in the long term, then those are excellent levels to actually make a purchase. It's up to you whether you would just, as soon as it goes below 3,000, you might decide to put all of your £10 pot in. You could kind of ladder different price points, buy some at 2,500, buy some at 2K, 1,500, 1,000, whatever you like. You could look at kind of key resistance and support levels from the past if you're inclined to technical analysis. You can do all that kind of stuff, but I think generally if you're going to have that kind of £10 pot set aside specifically for crypto, that's pretty much the best possible place that you can put it. And so for me, 1 at 3K level would be fantastic, a good time to put your pot towards and keep dollar cost averaging, as long as you have spare money set aside that you can afford to lose, to keep dollar cost averaging so long as we're in that general zone. And then if we go above that now, from the kind of 3K to 6K level, to me this is almost a no man's land. And especially if you go from that kind of 4 to 6K level, I think 3K or 3,500, you could still make a case that that's still a pretty good place to buy, all things considered, and maybe we have already bottomed. If that has the case, then buying between 3 and 4K would be pretty good. But otherwise, and especially with that 4 to 6K level, to me that just represents no man's land. That is a very broad trading range. We've gone below that level already, so you'd think in a bear market we could potentially go lower, especially if you don't think we've bottomed yet, in which case it makes more sense to wait and to reach those lower lows than to buy at those higher levels. And the other problem with buying in these levels as well is that there's no real great proof yet or great verification that we've finished the bear market and that a new bull market has begun. To me, and the reason why I think the 6K level is so significant here is because I think if you're going to make a case that the bull market has begun, or at least it's kind of kicked into gear, it's when we're able to escape that 6K level, especially with some half decent volume. because we spent so long at the 6K level in 2018, it's going to be really, really hard for us to break out of that. I think we're going to be trapped in that range for a long, long time. But if you haven't already invested all of your money from that pot at a lower level, you maybe waited for a bottom that you never got to see, you do have that money. If we were to break out of that 6K range, that would probably be a good time to put the money in at that point, because even though nothing is certain in life, and in theory we could go from where we are now to 6K or even 8, 10K before reaching lower lows, ultimately that would be excruciatingly painful for people. In my humble opinion, again, not financial advice, that is unlikely. I think by the time we see the end of 6K and we break out of that, we'll probably be in a bull market at that point. And so I think that's a good place to invest any remaining money you have at that point as we kick into a bull market, as I've already said. Otherwise, for me, 4-6K level is a no man's zone, or a no man's land, so to speak. And so that's kind of where I am. I think that's a half decent cheat sheet that you can kind of use to make your decisions if you're lazy and you can't be bothered to make any of your own decisions. Essentially, if we break below 3K, that is the ideal buying opportunity. That is the point of maximum financial opportunity. I think that's a good place to divest the majority of your fiat funds that you have set aside specifically for crypto. Otherwise, or if you have any remaining money, once we're back out of that zone into the 4 to 6K, you could, in theory, I guess, if you really want to, continue to dollar cost average in that region, especially if you do think, or if you do have conviction that we've already bottomed, then by all means, I mean, you're free to do whatever you want ultimately, but you could, in theory, dollar cost averaging around that price point, and then any remaining money that you have left can be used when we break out of that 6K zone, that 6K region. To me, I think that is the closest thing that you can get thereabouts to a kind of foolproof guide for 2019 as we go into the rest of the year. But that's just me, and that's just what I plan to do with my money overall. And you can, by all means, use this as a signpost if you wish, but you shouldn't rest on this. You shouldn't believe anything I have to say. You should come to your own decisions. That being said, I would absolutely love to hear what you think about this. And if you were to have some kind of easy cheat sheet that you would give someone else or give to yourself in the year of 2019 about which key levels to buy, which key levels to maybe sell, which key levels to accumulate and to dollar cost average into a position, I would love to hear in the comment section down below. And let me know what you think of this video. By all means, again, please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Share it with someone else if they're wondering what to do with their money heading into 2019. This can just be a useful video for them. I was not going to say advice because it's not, but you know what I have to say. So yeah, just whatever you think, let me know, and I'll be back with more videos very, very soon. Cheers.